Hey chess friends, welcome to a new video. Today we are going to analyze a game between two legends of chess history. I'm talking about Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen. They played this game only some minutes ago, and the idea is that this was played in the variation Chess960, and this is what they also call random chess. The idea is that the pieces at the beginning in this variation don't go in the regular position. They have a random squares at the beginning, like what we can see here on the board right now. They play this game in Champions Showdown. The time control is 20 minutes 10 seconds, and we're going to see very quickly the highlights of this interesting game. So Kasparov was playing here as white, and he plays d4, and then we have d5, e3, knight f6. The idea here is, as in regular chess, to develop pieces, to put your piece out of the first rank and bring them to good squares. So knight f3, e6, and also of course we need to control the center. So c4, fighting for the center here, and a6. Notice that the kings here are on c1 and c8. They can castle at some point. The king queenside castling would be with the king staying on c1 and the rook coming to d1. A kingside castling could be king going to u1, the rook coming to h1. So let's continue with knight c3. This is the next move. Carlsen takes on c4, the bishop takes, and then c5, putting pressure in the center. In this position, d takes, bishop takes c5, just developing, and there is a queen's trade, and then just bishop d3. The king goes to e7, and here this move here is castling queenside. You see the rook comes from a1 to d1, and then knight c6. Here there is an interesting plan by Kasparov, knight g5, bringing the knight to e4, and then we have rook d8, bringing the rook to the open file, knight e4, some trades, bishop b6. The idea here is that now the bishop can go either to c3 or sometimes if the knight moves to b4. So bishop c3, putting pressure in the right diagonal, f6, and then g4, trying to take advantage of this move to break over there and create some weaknesses. So bishop a5, that's a nice move from black, trying to trade that great bishop. And here bishop c2, bishop c6, also bringing the bishop to the right diagonal. Rook u1, preparing some g5, knight c4, improving the knight on the edge is not fine, so he brings the knight to c4. There is a trade, and then g5 is the move Kasparov played here. Black plays f5, they don't want to open the g file, and then knight c3. The knight goes to e5, maybe coming to f3, I guess in some lines also coming to d3, and then f4, knight f3, putting pressure here, or attacking g1 and h2, and then rook g2. The rook is a little exposed here, the same diagonal as the bishop, but there's not a clear discover here getting material, so it's probably fine. So g6, rook f2, and then e5. e4, there's a trade, knight takes e4, and then this nice move, knight d4, improving the knight, and also threatening, for example, knight takes bishop, taking the knight on e4. There is here knight g3, and knight takes bishop. In general, rook and bishop is better than rook and knight. Also, in this position, white has problems with the pawns. They are too advanced here in the king side. The more advanced are the pawns, the weaker they are. So this endgame is very interesting. Probably Carlsen has some interesting possibilities here to get something. Also, something important is that there will be a pin over here on the f file on this pawn. So probably black can get something here in this endgame. So king takes, and then rook f8. And this pawn on f4 is very well protected by knight and rook, but there is a problem. And this bishop is not doing too much right now, can be traded by the knight. That's the problem. So then this pawn attacked twice could be hanging. So let's see what happened. King e6, king d2, and then bishop b5, removing the defender. Then rook f3, and And then here Carlsen plays rook f7, probably not the best move in the position. I guess bishop takes knight is good enough. Probably he was trying to avoid some variation, and he plays this move. Probably he didn't play with the energy this moment took. So, well, rook e3, that's interesting, getting the pawn on e5. There is a trade on e2, he takes on e5, and then he takes on e2, and then rook f4. And now we are transposing again, this time to a rook's endgame. One more time, black is better, because the black rook is more active, and also white pawns are too advanced. So here king e3, rook g4, attacking the weak pawns we already mentioned, rook d2, king e6, and then rook c2 trying to get the 7th rank. Black takes, Kasparov takes the 7th rank, and then Carlsen protects b7 and also attacks b2. He takes h7, black takes b2, and then a4, a5, fixing that pawn on that square, and then h4, and now rook b4, double attack on a4 and also h4. Notice we have a rook's endgame with one pawn up for black. Rook's endgame with one pawn up are not easy to win, but it seems like there are some good possibilities for black here. White has two isolated pawns, that's a big problem. So it seems like black could be winning this endgame. Rook h6, and in this moment, this is probably one of the main moments of this game. In this moment, Carlsen plays king f7, and well, actually king f7 is a mistake here. He needed to play here king d7. The idea is that when Kasparov takes here on g6, rook takes h4, it's very hard for white to protect this pawn on a4. So that endgame seems to be winning for black. So in this position, he didn't play this king d7. I guess he's winning. He didn't play that. He plays king f7, and this is not the same because now there will be some check on the 7th rank, getting b7 at some point in the sequence. So h5 first, there is a trade, and then if black captures here, then there will be this rook a7 check. Black can still play b6, but then there is this nice move from white, just rook e5, and the idea is that if black takes the pawn on a4, then white can just play rook b5, still getting the pawn on b6. And if black plays rook b4, there will be a trade on b4, and this is a king and pawns endgame. It's going to be a draw. So in this position, Carlsen plays king f6. There is this nice rook e4. I say nice because even if black trades, it's going to be a draw even when black has a pawn up, and also the opposition. White is getting a draw in this theoretical pawns endgame. That's a little strange. Usually pawns endgames with one pawn up are winning, but this is very nice. This one is nice, I mean. And then rook b3, and then king d2, king f5, rook h4, king e5, king c2. The rook goes to f3, and now Kasparov attacks the pawn on b6. There is rook f6, and then the trade is good enough. After king d3, threatening king c4, king b5, black has to come with the king, and white, Kasparov, takes the opposition, and this is enough to get a draw. He continues taking the opposition. He will always have opposition, or maybe at some point distant opposition if he wants. So here black plays b5, and it's just like saying he's okay, he's fine with a draw. So even when Carlsen put a lot of pressure in this game, Kasparov, a great master, could hold the position, he could hold the pressure, and still get a draw in this game. So this is the video I wanted to show you today. I hope you have enjoyed it. If it was like that, don't forget to give me some like. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and see you in the next.